Hi. So it's been a bit. Um, Took a much needed vacation. Um, Working 6 days is a lot for a while, but many do that, so I'm not complaining. Very grateful I have a job, etc., blah, blah, blah. I'm going to make this is probably going to be the fastest video ever, um, which is a shock because we all know that I can talk a lot. But that being said, um, this is about trauma. A lot of things have come up about trauma work and victims and survivors of trauma treatment and untreated, undiagnosed, misdiagnosed trauma. And I just wanted to say some things. If this is the only time you ever hear this, I'm sorry for that. I certainly hope that's not the case. But I implore anybody who has had any history of either experiencing or witnessing any type of trauma. And let me be clear, sometimes people really minimize what that means and they think, well, if I haven't experienced, for instance, child abuse, or again, I haven't been involved with DCF, or I haven't witnessed domestic violence in my home or been the survivor of domestic violence, then that must mean that my trauma is not as important as someone else's, or I should just get over it, or I'm making a big deal out of nothing. Or maybe you are one of those people who has had dealt with a trauma that needed to be reported to the authorities, did try to then take it to court, and it was essentially laughed out of court. And so now you feel like, again, if the court made me feel like my case was nothing, then obviously I was making a big deal out of nothing. And the truth is, um, it doesn't matter what traumatic event you have experienced or witnessed in your lifetime, whether it was from your childhood, your adolescence, into young adulthood, or now recently. Whatever experience you've had is, again, your experience. And if you haven't had any opportunity to speak with somebody, to get some support, treatment around that, I can 100% guarantee that those feelings that you have around that experience, they didn't go anyplace. And many people will want to argue that point with me and say that they're okay and that they've dealt with it and they don't need to see anybody, and that maybe I just want to always force counseling down people's throats, as the end all be all. And that's not necessarily the case. And I think people that know me know that I certainly don't walk around, handing out cards to everybody. It's not who I am. But who I definitely am is someone who does believe in the stigma around getting help. And I wish that it didn't exist, but I know it does. In the stigma, especially around male sexual trauma. I know that is huge. Working with male inmates for 12 years, I dealt with it on, I would say, a daily basis, 5 and 6 days a week. I continually deal with these things now. And so my point today is that I just want to say that it is never too late to reach out. It's never too late to get help. It's never too late to talk about things that have happened in the past. It's never too late to get things off of our chest. I've seen, again, a lot of people get misdiagnosed with things such as bipolar disorder, even major depressive disorder, anxiety disorders. And yes, some of these things are certainly underlying or part of trauma disorders, but ultimately, a lot of people are getting treated for things or medicated for things that they don't actually have. And I don't necessarily blame the people that are diagnosing and treating. I don't blame anybody. The truth is that if your provider doesn't know your full history, then they don't know what to diagnose you with, and they're not obviously going to know that there's trauma that needs to be discussed and processed, and healing that needs to be done. So again, there is no shame in reaching out, asking for support. There are so many options now. You can go online. You can do something like a BetterHelp, which is just a texting option if you wanted. You don't have to sit in an office like this. You don't have to sit in an office like this, even if you wanted to meet with a person like me, because again, I'm doing telehealth and also, meeting with people in person. There are lots of people out there that, you know, um, have a lot of experience dealing with trauma survivors and working with so many different populations. And um, I also always recommend to people, if looking, if psychotherapy is not what you're looking for, well, there's another form of psychotherapy also that is out there called EMDR. So that's also another option if you're looking for something different that is also very, very effective. But again, when working with people for as long as I have that have lengthy histories of not um, discussing their trauma histories, going undiagnosed and untreated, and never getting the support that they need. Or, to be fair, do people that do report things and still don't get the support from their family and friends, um, which oftentimes can even be worse. Then I've watched people choose to numb out on drugs and alcohol and other vices that kind of help them put the focus someplace else other than on themselves, and help numb the pain, if you will. So that's all. I was trying to keep this about 5 minutes, but it just needed to be said, I felt, and take it or leave it. But we're all here if you need us. Thanks.